My wife cheated with my best friend. My daughter took their side, until he betrayed them both. Now it's just my son and me, rebuilding our lives without the people who destroyed our family. Hello Reddit I+ here. My name is Graham Wren, and I turned 48 2 months ago. If someone had warned me that my life, my careful, predictable, comfortable life, would implode before my next birthday, I would have laughed. Yet here I am, standing in the ashes of what used to be my family. For 23 years, I was married to Mira, now 45. We had 2 children. Raya, our 22-year-old college student, Jace, our quiet, stubborn 15-year-old son. From the outside, we looked like any other long-standing couple who had weathered storms together. Inside, I later learned I was sleeping beside a stranger I met Mira in my mid-20s, when she worked as a bookkeeper for a small auto shop near my uncle's hardware store. She was sharp, witty, and had a laugh that forced everyone around her to smile. We dated for a year and married quickly. Back then, it felt right. Raya came within the first year. Jace was born 7 years later. Our life was never extravagant, but we were steady. I worked my way up to a lead operations supervisor for a regional logistics company. Long hours, odd shifts, sometimes weekend emergencies. The pay was good, the benefits better, but the time cost us more than I realized. Mira worked part-time as a floral designer. She loved it. It made her feel creative and needed, she said. I encouraged it, even when it meant tightening our finances, so she could pursue a job that made her happy, instead of one that made sense financially. Looking back, maybe that was mistake number 1, giving her so much freedom that I didn't see how much space she eventually put between us. Enter Rowan. I met Rowan in my early 20s, long before marriage, fatherhood, or middle-aged stomach fat existed. He was the charismatic one, the risk-taker, the loud laugh that made bartenders smile. I was calm and methodical. Perfect foils. We stayed friends through every stage of life. My marriage, his marriage, my kids, his kids. Even when he moved 2 states over, he visited often. He was the kind of friend I assumed would speak at my funeral someday. And that's exactly why, when he relocated back to our area after a job change, I offered him our guest room, without hesitation. He stayed for 8 days. 8 days was enough to destroy everything. During that week, he was sunshine. Helpful, funny, bonding instantly with Jace and Mira, and especially with Raya, who was home for spring break. I was naive enough to think it was harmless. I didn't notice the way Mira started dressing better. I didn't notice the extra cooking, the careful hairstyling, the perfume she hadn't worn in years, except on anniversaries. I didn't notice Rowan texting her late at night. I didn't notice her texting back, but Jace noticed. My quiet son saw everything. The day I opened the door, too soon. 3 months after Rowan had officially moved into his own apartment, I ran home during my lunch break to grab a binder I'd forgotten. A vendor meeting was waiting. I walked in and instantly heard laughter. Deep, intimate. The kind 2 people only share when they believe they're alone. When I stepped into the den, time froze. Mira was sitting on Rowan's lap, kissing him like she'd forgotten air mattered. When they finally realized I was standing there, it was Rowan who bolted, nearly tripping over my shoes as he scrambled for the door like a burglar caught in the act. Mira, she did not apologize. She attacked. She blamed. She screamed. She weaponized every insecurity I'd ever admitted to her. "You're never here, Graham! You're married to your job! Rowan actually sees me!" Those words cut deeper than anything I'd witnessed. I walked away. I contacted a lawyer before the sun went down. When Raya learned what happened, she chose her mother's side instantly. She defended her with a passion I didn't know she possessed, calling me cold, emotionally unavailable, and out of touch with what women need. She also defended Rowan. That part hurt the most. Jace, on the other hand, refused to speak to Mira at all. He later admitted he had noticed too many coincidences. The whispering, the inappropriate laughter, Rowan lingering when I wasn't home. He said he didn't tell me because he didn't want to be wrong. But he had been right all along. 2 weeks into the separation, Mira and Raya announced they were moving into Rowan's rental house. My daughter, my wife, moving in with the man who betrayed me. They packed with frightening efficiency. They took almost every family photo except the ones where I stood alone or with Jace. Those they left behind like discarded receipts. Jace watched with clenched fists. When Raya left, he whispered, "That doesn't feel like my sister anymore." I had no answer. And then the betrayal came back around like a boomerang. 6 months of silence passed, until one night my phone rang. It was Mira, hysterical. Rowan, shocker of the century, had started seeing someone else behind her back, someone younger, someone closer to his emotional level, someone named Raya. Yes, My ex-best friend cheated on my wife with my daughter. Mira walked into the living room and found them kissing, just like I had found her and Rowan. Her world ended in the same room mine had. I didn't take her back. I didn't comfort her. I didn't step into the role of savior. She made her choices. Now she was living inside the results. The divorce. The part everyone thinks they're ready for until it starts. My lawyer, Gerard, was ruthless in the best way we had. 23 years of marriage, 2 children, a house jointly owned, a retirement account I'd spent half my life building, 2 vehicles, credit card debt mostly created by Mira, my overtime and savings on the line. But thanks to the evidence, texts, witnesses, and proof of her affair with Rowan, the leverage tilted sharply in my favor. Here's how things landed. The house awarded to me, 100%. She didn't fight it. Primary custody of Jace, 100%, to me. Her relationship with both kids was unstable. Jace refused visits. Raya, 22. An adult, living with the man who destroyed our family, no legal arrangements needed. Savings and retirement. Mira walked away with 25% of my retirement instead of 50% because my lawyer argued marital misconduct. She did, however, keep her own savings vehicles. I kept my truck. She kept the family sedan. Spousal support 0, a rare win, thanks again to the affair. Personal items. She took almost every piece of sentimental property that didn't matter to me anymore. When the judge finalized the divorce, Mira didn't even lift her eyes. She looked defeated, drained, like someone who had lost her entire home in a fire. She started herself. Raya didn't attend any of the hearings. She was too busy chasing Rowan's attention. Attention that was already beginning to fade. After the ashes, Raya began reaching out 2 months after Rowan dumped her. She claimed she was manipulated, confused, vulnerable. She cried to Jason voicemails he refused to open. Mira tried more aggressively emails, texts, showing up at my workplace begging for just one more chance. My answer was always the same. No. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't collapse. I simply moved on. Not into another relationship. Not into revenge. I moved on into peace. Jace and I, the family that survived Jace and I, rebuilt our home slowly. We formed new routines. Late dinners, gym nights, movie Fridays, weekend road trips to quiet towns. His grades climbed. His confidence returned. He laughed again. A real laugh. Not the polite one he forced before. I learned how to cook things Mira always handled. I learned that silence isn't empty. It's restful. I learned that losing people isn't always a tragedy. Sometimes it's the first step to breathing again. And today, I'm not dating. I'm not searching. I'm not interested. I'm building a life where I wake up without bracing for the next emotional earthquake. Some days I miss the old version of my family. But then I remember, that family only existed because I didn't know the truth. Knowing the truth is freedom. And freedom is something I'll never surrender again. 3 months after the divorce, Mira made one last attempt to crawl back into my life. It started with a message on a quiet Tuesday night. We need to talk. I ignored it. The next day, she showed up at my driveway, waiting beside her car like she still had the right. When I stepped out, she launched into a rehearsed monologue. Tears, trembling, sorrow thick in her voice. She talked about how lonely she was, how Rowan had ruined her mind, how Raya barely spoke to her anymore, how she never meant to hurt me and just wanted to feel alive, and made the biggest mistake of her life. Every sentence was a hook she hoped I'd bite when I didn't respond. The performance shifted. The tears dried. The blame returned. The twisting, guilt-spinning, emotional chess game I knew too well resurfaced. You've changed, Graham. You're cold. You're punishing me. You can't pretend 23 years meant nothing. You owe me at least a chance to explain. I let her talk until she ran out of excuses, memory bubbles, and accusations. When she finally paused, waiting for me to crack, I simply said, I'm done letting you take pieces of me. She opened her mouth to argue again, but I walked past her and into the house. I didn't slam the door. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't look back. The quiet click of the lock was enough. She stayed outside for another minute, maybe 2. Then she left, realizing she no longer held space in a life she once shattered. Since that day, she hasn't tried again, and I haven't thought twice. Jace asked me later what she wanted. I shrugged and said, the past. But I'm not living there anymore.